Welcome to this real-time painting of black-eyed Susans from nature. Enjoy. My sketch is created from a photo that I took on a local walk of these cultivated black-eyed Susans. I just loosely sketch them, and then you see me tapping up some of the hard lines with a kneaded eraser. I kept my lines very light as I'm going to overlap them, creating some lost and found edges, as well as doing some negative painting. My yellows are a mixture of Naples yellow, lemon yellow, as well as some yellow ochre. Then I've got some raw sienna, sepia, green gold, some cobalt blue, just mixing up a bunch of different greens as I move along. nice and thick, and working wet on dry to keep them intact and not to get too lost into the background. I will spray away and melt a few of the petals out into the background. So this process is a little intuitive and a little planned. I guess it's just a blend of knowing what to do and then seeing what happens. I'm pushing some of the yellows into the background to help me create the glow around them, where I'll be adding my greens soon. Now I'm just dipping and dabbing a variety of light greens to darker greens to create the petal shapes using some negative painting and then creating some positive ferns in a fuzzy sort of abstract way. And you see how quickly your yellows can get lost and engulfed by the other colors that are darker and move differently. You have to be patient with the process of negative painting. It doesn't come natural, but it can be a really exciting way to approach your watercolor paintings. One of the things I always remind students is to react to what's happening on the paper, not what your intention was or what's going on around you. So I noticed that I was giving it too much information a little too early in my fear to lose the yellers, yellows. And, as you can see, I went a little too harsh with the blue and I had to pull it back. So you see me kind of dragging out color. So you don't always have to be stuck with that color. You can hit it with some water and drag it around and move it and not have to keep reloading your brush with fresh color. So I want to keep it really light in the beginning, and that's real important to developing those layers. Now, because I was using Arches paper, the flowers were still pretty wet, and I wanted to start developing some of the shadows and shapes of each of the petals, going in with some raw sienna and some thicker yellows, like the Naples yellow. I did find that it got heavy pretty quick, so you see me back it off a little bit, and you can see how quickly you can lose your light. So, it's that constant challenge of doing that. I also feel like I picked a smaller brush than I would normally use. I was excited about the tip on this one because it's a fairly new brush that I haven't used much. Now to create my centers, I used really thick yellow ochre, green gold, and it was almost too thick. You could see I'll go back in and pull some of the color off, because I need those layers to work to create the centers nice and dark. However, they were too pulled up, and I was going to end up with just a flat color. So stretch out some of that pigment, took it off, threw it away on a paper towel. So again, paying attention to what's happening and not getting too caught up in the image, more caught up in the actual process of each step. And then using sepia to create shadows and some darks. Now coming back in later where it's dark, when it's dry, and create the little seeds on the cone and the shape of it. Now I have to start thinking a little bit about the background and where the stems and leaves are going to go, and just getting a feel for it. So sometimes the artists do this where they'll move their brush over the paper or the canvas, but the paint's not touching yet, because you're kind of just getting a feel for where it's going to go before you put it down. And a lot of putting down and backing off at this stage. I was trying not to box it in too early. As you can see, I quickly got carried away with that process. I do really enjoy the line making and the playfulness of finishing off a painting, but you always have to be careful at the first half. doing some negative painting here with some sepia and some raw umber to create the ends of the petals and really shape them. So you can see where negative painting is not just behind a object, it's also used beside it to create the shape and bring that shape more forward. As you may have noticed, I stuck with the same brush. Normally I would have gone to a smaller brush, but I was able to accomplish everything in this small painting using the size 6. And now I'm going to come in with some really thicker paint, pretty much cream to honey consistency, and create the shadows and the lines and the dimensions to really make some designs. I did get out my small dagger as well to create those beautiful organic lines that I love to just swirl and play with a variety of yellows and greens and sepias, and I keep them all separate. I make sure they're in nice thick consistency, however there's enough water to always keep it moving. If you feel like your colors are too stiff, make sure that there's always enough water in your brush. You may have to reload your brush with some water, take off a little bit of moisture, then reactivate your colors. And you have to also say, oh, what did I do wrong here? Here I put in some lines that just didn't make any sense. The center has always been a little bit of an issue to me, where all the flowers connect. I want them to look natural and like a cluster, but I don't want it to look too fuzzy. So here I am again with that dagger brush. I love these brushes. I have 3 or 4 different sizes of these. They just make beautiful lines. You can swirl them and move them. You can add pressure to make the leaves thicker, and then you turn them to make that nice sharp point. You can see how it creates a nice variety of colors. Now, when it comes to finishing a painting, I've noticed with newer students and anyone who's fairly new to art, this is when the fear kicks in. Like, I've gotten this far and I don't want to ruin it. And I feel you, but you can be a little forgiving with watercolor. You can lift off, you can wash it off. So be playful at this stage. You don't want this to be a replica of what your teacher is showing you. You don't want this to be a photocopy of the picture reference. You want this to be about the memory and the feeling that you get when you interacted with this object. So for me, it was just a boring day and I needed to take a walk, and I wasn't feeling it. And then I saw these flowers and I got excited, and it inspired a couple of cute little paintings. So get playful, make some interesting marks, smoosh the colors around a little. And you'll see I bring in some handmade glimmery watercolors that I have, and I darkened some sections with it, and then I added some gold splatter, and then later on I come back and I really define the lines and pop those flowers and give them some personality so they're not so lost in all the reeds and leaves. And just picking and choosing where I want my marks to be. Just having a little play. So if you've come this far, thanks for hanging in. I will leave you with a little more meditative music. I invite you to comment, share, and as always, please subscribe to my slowly growing YouTube channel. Thanks everyone. This is Lana from The Wandering Brush.